first salmon up here was 1947.
They still
See,
catch salmon.
they're talking because then they really shut the water off with the dam. Salmon didn't have any water to come up with.
What's the silver size? That's a salmon about this big, but built like a carp. And they were the only, the big salmon couldn't jump the ladder, but all the silver sides could make it, and they'd come up the river here and spawn.
When they're in water up to your knees, and I don't like fish, and I didn't like it when my husband said, "Let's go, you were allowed 2 each."
Oh, yes.
And that's the first experience I had with fish. Is get in the water there, and they had my good friend from Biola made me a spear.
Oh,
So they were spearing
goodness.
them
Wow.
with a long pipe, you know, and you throw it at them.
And did you get them?
Yeah, I got one.
Salmon camp is what we used to call it.
Yes.
Because there was, must have been 8 or 10 families that would go there. And everybody would get the salmon they needed. And one of these big salmons come by and hit my legs and knocked me down. And I fell down and the fire went out. But I remember that as if it was yesterday, you know.
Yeah.
I would see flocks of geese flying over, and so my son, who was quite small at that time, and I would go exploring, and we ended up going down to the river, and there were thousands of geese then. In fact, they just blackened the sky when they would fly up.
We see there are a number of things that have to happen in order to hit the target of restoring salmon, naturally sustained salmon in the river. One of those is we have to be able to get the fish up and down the river.
Mm-hmm.
And getting the fish up and down a river that has been dry is no small task. Channels will have to be constructed.
And what he did was just throw us in the river. So we learned to swim because she didn't want us to drown.
Right.
From then on, we swam the horses in the river, and we did everything. We had a boat on the river.
Oh.
And he had this little blue boat, I remember, and he had this bib overalls. He's a farmer, you see all those little kids piled in. He roared up and down the river in this power boat, and we were all
What a
excited.
thrill.
And he said he swam the river to meet my mother. I don't know, but he said that. I guess they were camped over here on this side of the river. And so anyway, he talked my mother into eloping with him when she was 17.
Because when they first came up here, it was to mine gold. And there was a lot of Chinese mining up here. Every little creek down here, and you look, you can see the way the rocks are all stacked, where they stacked them. And
first sand and gravel mining site that I worked on.
I see.
And when I first went down there, it was like, whew, what is all this? You're digging holes everywhere. But one of the things that caught my attention when I was down there is that although there were mining equipment, excavation going on, and there was trucks going on and everything else, there was all this wildlife around.
Yes.
And I was really intrigued by that. Now, how did they get along?
I belong to here in Fresno, what we call the hog hunters. If you're fishing for let's say perch, and you catch one that's about a pound, because they usually run half to 3/4 of a pound. You catch one that's about a pound, that's a hog.
We like to maintain the quality of light, and then the fishing population. I think that's important. It's not only us that can fish, we have to save for our children.
We came from Mexico. My dad brought 6 kids, his wife. So imagine coming from an area that I had never seen a fruit tree, I had never seen irrigation, I had never seen a car or a plane. And we came here at night, landed here at night, So we woke up, and then my dad was irrigating, and I've never seen water come out of the ground like that, and I was just fascinated by it. And then he brought me over here, and I saw my first fruit tree, and we picked the fruit. So literally, it was like a Garden of Eden. It was paradise.